Hands up, who remembers the Toyota Iris? Built in Britain, Volkswagen Golf rival, had some hybrids in the range, but otherwise rather anonymous and pretty forgettable. So much so, in fact, that for its new family car, Toyota has dropped the Iris name altogether, and it's reintroducing a badge that we haven't seen in Britain for 13 years. This is the new Toyota Corolla. It looks pretty good too, doesn't it? This Corolla sits on the Toyota New Global Architecture, which means it shares a lot of chassis parts with the Prius and the CHR. But the body on top looks quite rakish with this low bonnet, very slim headlights, long wheelbase, nice surfacing, and a stance that has, dare I say it, a little bit of attitude. With those Prius connections, it's no surprise that the Corolla range is mainly a hybrid one. There is a 1.2 litre turbocharged petrol with a manual gearbox on a few editions of the car, but there's no diesel, and the bulk of the lineup is made up of 2 electrified powertrains. There's a 1.8 litre setup, similar to what you get in a Prius, with 120 brake horsepower and a 0 to 62 miles per hour time of just under 11 seconds. Then there's the car we're trying here, which has a 2 litre 4-cylinder engine and a total of 177 brake horsepower, putting this Corolla on a par with 1.5 litre turbocharged editions of the Golf and Focus. On the road, the Corolla is a car of real contrasts. The chassis is actually a strong point. It's not as agile as a Ford Focus, and it's not as comfortable as a Volkswagen Golf, but it's somewhere between the two, and that's a pretty good place for a Toyota to be. The steering is a little vague around the straight ahead, but it's accurate enough, and this is a car you can lean on in corners. The ride is generally pretty compliant, although I would be tempted to go for a car on 17-inch wheels as opposed to this car's 18s. Sounds like there could be some fun to be had then, but sadly the Corolla's hybrid powertrain doesn't quite get the joke. This 2 litre car has paddles at the back of the steering wheel there to play around with the false ratios in the CVT transmission, but it can't quite overcome the fact that there's not a direct connection between what you do with your right foot on the pedal and the engine. Try to throw the Corolla down a B road then, and you're going to be sadly disappointed. But if you take a more relaxed attitude, then you'll find there's lots of times when it feels more like a normally aspirated car that happens to have a torque converter automatic gearbox, and that is real progress from Toyota. Inside, the Corolla is just about practical enough for a small family, although it's worth noting that the 2 litre models have a smaller boot that's eclipsed by many super minis, let alone the car's normal rivals. The cabin is also where you will find the weakest point of the whole package, this infotainment system. It's bad enough in itself, with clunky graphics, a confusing interface, and slow responses. But to compound your frustration, Toyota is one of the handful of brands still not offering proper Apple or Android integration on its cars. There are vague promises that it's on the way, allowing you to bypass this integrated awfulness. But we'll believe it when we see it. The usual Toyota hybrid selling point remains though. CO2 emissions are low as 76 grams per kilometre in fact, bringing down the cost of ownership and making the Corolla an appealing option for company car choosers. There are some decent offers on finance for private buyers too, so it should at least be a match for the likes of the Golf or Focus on monthly payments. The Corolla does feel like Toyota's best family car for a generation. It's dynamically secure, just about practical enough, comfortable and refined. The hybrid tech should find more buyers than ever too, thanks to the seemingly relentless shift away from diesel. I'd find it hard to look past the pretty awful infotainment system, but many buyers will overlook that in the face of company car tax rates and running costs that few of this car's rivals can hope to match.